Shalom Israel. Welcome to another edition of the Lions of Israel. I'm your host, the priest Danya Allah, and to my right,
Priest McGunn.
Right. So today's topic we're going to deal with is New Year's. Now that all the hoopla and the hype is over, we want to revisit the subject of New Year's. Our people in this society, we go along with everything that we see. We don't read for ourselves, we don't study anything, we don't check anything out. Whatever we see on TV, we just go along with it. But yet we have the audacity, many of us, to call ourselves God-fearing people, to call ourselves Christians, to call ourselves children of God, to call ourselves saved. Well, if you are a child of God, and if you are a Christian, you would know that January 1st is not the new year.
Right.
I remember coming up in church, there was something called watch night service. My mother used to take me when I was a boy. And what we would do is we would go to church New Year's Eve. And they would have a service like normal. And right around, let's say, 10 minutes before it's midnight, they would have everybody in the church get on their knees and you would be praying until the clock struck 12. So you'd be praying right into the new year, January 1st. This is a church, mind you. But the pastor never went in the Bible and showed me where the New Year's was January 1st. What we're going to show you and demonstrate according to the Bible is New Year is not January 1st. Now, somebody at home is saying, what is he talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to show you that in your subconscious, you have always known that January 1st is not the new year. Let me explain to you how. The last month on the calendar that they have now is called what? December. When you look at the word December, the root word of that is deci. What does deci represent in the Latin? That's a Latin word. The word deci means 10. They taught you that in school. A decimal represents 10, does it not? Am I lying? Deci or December, 10. What's the month before December? The month before December is November. If you look up the word novo, or novos in Spanish, or novo, that means what? The word novo is 9. In Spanish, it is nueve. See? That's 9. Let's go one month before that. You have October. An octagon is an 8-sided figure. Look at a stop sign. The word octo means 8. That's the root word of October. The word septi means 7. That's September. So, really, September is the 7th month. That's where you get the word septi from. Septi or September. That's really the 7th month. They tell you it's the 9th month, but it's not. October is really the 8th month. They tell you it's the 10th month, but looking at the word, it's really not. November is the 9th month. They tell you it's the 11th month, but it's really not. And December is the 10th month. They tell you it's the 12th month, but looking at the word, it's really not, because those words all come from the Latin. You got to go back to the Latin. December is really the 10th month. January is supposed to be the 11th month, and February is supposed to be the 12th month. And come March, what happens during March? That's when the spring comes in. And that is the real New Year. See that? The earth itself tells you that. That's why the flowers bloom. That's why the trees come back to life. That's why it's warm. No more snow. That's why the animals come out of hibernation and start reproducing. Because the earth is coming back to life. That is the new year. Not in the dead of winter. Alright? Now we're going to go in the Bible and we're going to show you that. You've been in church your whole life and your pastor never showed you the scriptures that we're about to show you. If you have a Bible at home, I advise you to pause this video, go get your Bible, blow the dust off, sit down and read along with us. The Bible says study to show yourself approved. That way you know that we're not making this stuff up. And if you think we're making it up, shoot us an email. We're going to show you in the Bible according to the Bible. Stop following these daggone preachers. They're lying to you. Read the scripture. Call the scripture and read what you got.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
The he that's going to speak great words against the Most High is the so-called white man. See, the so-called white man thinks that his kingdom is going to go on forever. It tells you in the book of Psalms, the 49th chapter, in the 11th verse. He thinks America's going to go on forever. He's talking about going into space, going to Mars, man, going someplace going where no man has ever been before. Okay? Colonizing the moon, all types of stuff, man. He's speaking great words against the Most High. He puts himself up as the Most High. If you go to the Sistine Chapel, you see a long white arm reaching down out of the sky. You see white images of Christ, white images of the angels, white images of the prophets. All of those things are lies and false. He's speaking great words against the Most High, man. The so-called white men say God don't exist. The earth was formed through some Big Bang theory, which is madness, man. Absolute madness. He believes in evolution. And the list goes on and on and on and on. He's speaking great words against the Most High. Speaking against this Bible, man. The Bible is made up. It's false. It's mythological. All types of stuff. Come on.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
And the so-called white man has worn out the saints of the Most High. Who are the saints of the Most High? The saints of the Most High are the Israelites. That's who the saints are. It tells you in the book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 5. The saints are the Israelites. Come on.
And think to change times and laws.
And the Bible says the so-called white man would think to change times and laws. What is the time that the so-called white man has changed? The white man changed the New Year's. Now, as I'm speaking, you can Google something called the Calendar Reform Act of 1752. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now so you can see it. But don't take my word for it. There's something called the Calendar Reform Act of 1752. That is when the British moved the New Year from March to January. That's documented. You can look it up for yourself. So if the British moved the New Year from March to January, that's clearly showing you that January 1st is not the New Year. You have to do research on that. See? From there, give me the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 2. I'm going to show you something. The reason why the British had the New Year's fallen in March is because it was biblical. Because the Bible tells you the New Year's comes around the spring. That's what it tells you. See? Give me the book of Exodus chapter 12, read verse 1 and verse 2.
Exodus chapter 12, verses 1 through 2. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Is that doing it?
Connor.
Right. The Most High said, This month shall be the beginning of months to you. It shall be the first month of the year to you. This shall be the first month of the year to you. What month is that? Read verse 3.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. Keep reading. Come on. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb.
Come on.
Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up unto the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts, and on the upper door post of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the pertinence thereof. and ye shall let nothing of it remain unto the morning, and that which remaineth of it unto the morning shall ye burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
It is what?
The Lord's Passover.
It is what?
The Lord's Passover.
Read verse 2.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
And read verse 11 again.
And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
Did everybody hear that? According to the Bible, the Passover is the beginning of the year to you. It's the first month of the year, falls at the time of the Passover. That's what the Bible says. From there, give me the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 1. Now let's find out. So now we have a clue. According to the Bible, the beginning of the year, the first month of the year, falls around the time of the Passover. Now we need to get a little more information to find out when that is. Deuteronomy 16, verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God.
So observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Most High. Now we have a little bit more information. The Passover, according to Exodus chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, is the beginning of the year. Deuteronomy 16 says the Passover falls during the month of Abib. When does the month of Abib come around? Well, let's go to the Bible dictionary and let's find out. We're going to go to the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. If you don't have one of these, you can get these in Barnes and Nobles. Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, a very, very good study guide for the Bible. And we're going to look up the month of Abib. And we're going to find out when the month of Abib occurs. Because now we're going to find out, according to the Bible, when the new year is. This is easy, brothers and sisters. This is real easy. See? I expect someone that doesn't believe in the Bible not to know this stuff. But if you call yourself a minister or a pastor or even a member of a congregation and you've been in church your whole life, you've given your whole life to church, you've given all your life savings to the church, you've been a faithful member, you on the usher board, you a choir director, you in the choir, you know, you sweep, you cook for the church, you do all this stuff, you're giving your whole life to the church, and they're not teaching you anything. Read what you got.
The definition of Abib. The pre-exilic name for the first month of the year.
So again, the Bible dictionary tells you that Abib is the first month of the year. That's when the new year is. We just read that in the Bible, and now the scholars are coming and backing that up. But we got to find out when is really the first month of the year according to the Bible. Come on.
The precepts are Exodus 13 and 4, 23 and 15, and 34 and 18. It goes on to say, after the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of our March and early April.
When does the month of Abib come in?
March and early April.
The Bible dictionary, the scholars, when they did their research, they found out that the month of Abib falls around March or early April. And we just read in Exodus chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, that that's the beginning of the year. That's the first month of the year.
Right.
When the Passover comes in, which is March or early April. Going back to the Calendar Act of 1752, it was that way until 1752. And in 1752, they went away from the Bible and they did their own thing. And they set up the New Year's in the month of January. Now, first of all, I hope that that's clear for you brothers and sisters at home. That was simple. But now let's go into it a little bit further. I want to talk to you really quickly about the month of January and why January was the month that was chosen. Now, when you look up the word January, January comes from the pagan Roman god Janus. J-A-N-U-S. And as I'm talking to you, you can see on your screen an excerpt from the Encyclopedia Britannica. It tells you about the god Janus. All right? Now, Janus is the god of beginnings and endings. Okay? He's a god of beginnings and endings. He's a pagan god. You can do your research on him. All right? Now, another thing with the month of January that's also important, another reason why the so-called white man use the month of January is you have to understand that the Most High created the universe in duality. It tells you that in the Apocrypha. The Most High created everything in twos. So everything in creation has a positive and it has a negative. The so-called white man is on the negative or the left-hand side of the creation. So everything that he comes up with is wicked. That's just a fact. He's destroyed the earth. He's destroyed the land. He's destroyed the water. He's destroyed the people. He's destroyed everything. So he's just wicked. That's a fact, historically speaking. Whether you want to accept it or whether you don't want to say it or not, it's proof, beyond a shadow of a doubt. But anyway, when you look at the month of January falls under the sign of Capricorn. And if you look at the symbol of Capricorn, Capricorn is symbolized as a goat. Capricorn also falls or is closely associated with the planet Saturn, which is something that the Romans worship. They worship something called Saturnalia. That was one of the many religions that was in Rome. But again, Capricorn falls under the sign of the goat. Now, when you look at the goat has positive and it also has negative associated with it. I'm going to give you an example. When you read the book of Leviticus chapter 23 verse 19, the goat is a clean animal and it's also an animal that the Israelites sacrificed. It was one of the many animals that Most High cleansed that if we committed a sin or a transgression, we could actually sacrifice a goat. So a goat is actually a righteous animal. But on the left-hand side, the so-called white man worships the goat under the sign of Baphomet. If you've ever seen the image of Baphomet, Baphomet is an androgynous being with a goat head. And it has both male and female organs. And the so-called white man worships Baphomet. Okay? And a lot of these simple rappers and singers like Beyonce, who wore a dress dedicated to Baphomet because she's a devil. Like Kanye West, who wore a t-shirt with the image of Baphomet on it, the goat head, because he's a daggone devil. See? These guys all worship those demonic entities. The so-called white man is dealing with the zodiac on the left-hand side, man. He's dealing with astrology. See? So the white man caused the new year to come in under the sign of Capricorn, which is also associated with Saturn, which is one of the many gods that the so-called white men worship, especially during the time of Rome, and even today. So it has a lot of pagan association with it on the left-hand side, where the so-called white man resides. That's another reason why the New Year's comes in January. Does everybody understand that? I hope so. I know I said a lot, but that's what the pause button on the computer is for you to pause it and look up some of the stuff that I'm saying. You got something you want to add, bro?
Well, I just wanted to bring out this definition of January.
Go ahead.
And right under the definition of January, you have the definition of Janus.
Go ahead.
Right? So the definition of January, it goes on to say, the first month of the Gregorian calendar.
Right.
See, THROWBACK calendar. So let's know it's the Gregorian calendar.
Right.
Now, the definition of Janus. Roman myth. The god of gates and doorways, depicted with two faces looking in opposite directions.
Right. The god of faces and doorways. So he's looking in two opposite directions. He's looking the past and he's looking at the future. That's why January was chosen. That's why January was given the name that it was given, Janus. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a transition from one year to another year. Looking back and looking forward. That's why that was depicted that way. Okay? I hope everybody understands that this is stuff that you can research yourself. It's not that hard to look into these things. You see what I'm saying? Now, I want to say this too really quickly. Going back to what I was saying before about the Most High creating the earth in duality. It's not really hard to understand. It's not really hard to understand. Another example of the Most High creating the earth in duality is the rainbow. Where everybody knows that when you read the book of Genesis, the 9th chapter, all right, the Most High used the rainbow as a covenant that he would never flood the earth again. But today you have the so-called white man under the homosexual banner using the rainbow to symbolize homosexuality.
Right.
So everything in creation has a positive and a negative. The so-called white man, when he gets into things, it's always on the left-hand side. See? So the so-called white man under the sign of Capricorn, in the month of January, that's when the new year starts. It's very pagan. It has nothing to do with the Most High whatsoever. We clearly showed you in the Bible that the New Year's comes in around the spring. All right? Now, give me the book of Isaiah chapter 29, verse 16. See? Isaiah 29, verse 16. Because, see, that's why the Most High has us set up. The Most High has us set up because the Most High wants to tear down all these lies and to teach you the truth. But a lot of our people, they reject the truth. They reject the Bible. When we come forward with these shows, when we go out in the highways and the byways, all we have is gainsayers and scoffers. Nobody really wants to hear the words of the Most High, man. That's why the Most High has predestined 2/3 of our people to be destroyed in a nuclear fire. And guess what? I understand why. Dealing with my people on a day-to-day basis, I understand why 2/3 of y'all are not going to make it. When the so-called white man brings in this new world order, when the so-called white man comes down with great wrath, when the so-called white man brings in martial law and starts rounding people up out their houses and throwing you in concentration camps and trying you before military tribunals and daggone cutting your head off with these guillotines and shooting you down with these bullets and trying to implant you with these daggone chips and feeding you all these different foods that are full of toxins that's going to kill you off and all this other stuff that they plan on doing, a lot of you are going to die that way, man. And you know why you're going to die that way? Because you're rebelling against this word, man.
You ain't going to say Happy New Year's.
You ain't going to be saying Happy New Year's then because there ain't going to be nothing happy, man.
Right.
It's not going to be anything happy, man. What do you so-called Negroes, what do you so-called Hispanics have to celebrate anyway, man? You're in captivity, man. You underneath the so-called white man. You're the last hired. You're the first fired. You're looked down on in this society. Police officers are going around indiscriminately killing black and Hispanic men and not being held accountable. The so-called white man is locking black, Hispanic men and Native American up at a rate 10 times the rate he's locking up so-called white men for the same crimes. See? Just this week, a so-called black man who overpaid. Let me say that again. A so-called black man who overpaid for child support. He didn't underpay for child support. He overpaid for child support. And what was the penalty for overpaying? He's going to jail for 10 months. He gave the government, the state, more money than he was supposed to, and he's still going to jail for 10 months. Only in America. What do you have to celebrate, really? Do you have your own flag? Do you have your own land? Are your women in order? Are your children in order? You don't have nothing to celebrate. All 2014 represents is another year for the so-called white man to keep his foot up your behind. That's what 2014 represents, and you so-called blacks and Hispanics, you happy with that, man. You know why you happy with that? Because you got a PS4. You know why you happy with that? Because you got an iPhone 5S. Because you got a Samsung Galaxy 4. Because you got the new Jordans that came out, the retros, that was already out like 10, 15 years ago, and Michael Jordan made money on it twice. So as long as you have that, you're happy. You have a big butt woman. You have a flat screen TV. So you happy. You know, you have that bad rap music, man, with all them gay rappers in it. So you're happy. That's what you celebrate. You know? But that's nothing to celebrate, man. You know when we're going to celebrate? When we see the fall of our enemies. That's when we're going to celebrate. But we're going to have a good time, man.
Right.
See? What you got?
Isaiah 29:16.
Yeah, read that, please.
Isaiah 29:16. Surely the turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Surely the so-called white man's turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. The Most High is the potter. The so-called white man has turned everything upside down. We read that in Daniel 7:25. The so-called white man has changed the times. He moved the New Year's from the spring when it's supposed to be to January. He turned everything in the earth upside down. But the Most High said, it shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, because the Lord is the potter. So if the Lord is the potter, the same way the so-called white man turned everything upside down, the Most High is going to put everything back in its proper perspective when he's ready, in its due time. And we're in that time now. That's why the truth is coming out. All right? From there, give me the book of Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. All right? We're going to continue on, because all this stuff is relevant, man. It's time for the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American man to wake up, man. These are the elementary things in the Bible. The elementary things. But I'm going to tell you something. The first time I heard these things, I was blown away. I was like, that was in there the whole time? I used to look forward to New Year's Eve, man. I used to figure out, yo, man, where I'm going to be at when the ball drops. What female am I going to be with when the ball drops? Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You trying to get with her.
Party at.
Party at, man. You're trying to find out what we drinking tonight, man. We about to hit up this party, man. They having some party downtown. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to find a shorty, man. I got to find somebody, man. You going, you know, as men, you going out your whistle. You got to find a shorty, man. I got to make sure I got me a shorty for the night. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you get something. That's where your mom was at. That's where you so-called Negroes are at, man. Just base, man. Not about nothing. That's all that's going on in the world. There's a lot more important things going on in the world, man. See? Malachi 3 verse 6.
Malachi 3 and 6. For I am the Lord, I change not.
What does the Lord say?
I am the Lord, I change not.
Simple as that. So if the Most High ordained, give me Hebrews 13 and 8. If the Most High ordained the New Year's to be in the spring, the Most High said he changes not. So who has the right on earth as a man to change the New Year into January 1st, man? Go ahead.
Hebrews 13 and 8. Jesus Christ, or Yahushua, the same yesterday and today and forever.
Yahushua, Jesus Christ, is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And Christ, Yahushua, is whom the Most High ordained to create all things. So when the earth was created and the New Year's was created and everything else, Yahushua, Jesus Christ, created it to be in the spring. And it's supposed to be in the spring from the beginning of creation all the way to infinity. It was never supposed to be January 1st. Give me Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 1. It was never supposed to be moved to January 1st. And what I'm challenging is, I want any pastor or preacher to show me in the Bible where the Lord changed the New Year's. And I'm going to ask a question too, because I was pondering on this today. You Christians that teach that the laws are done away with, right? That would include the New Year. If you're saying that when Christ died on the cross, he did away with the law, well, the law is what tells us when the New Year falls. So if Christ did away with the New Year, the law, that means he did away with New Year's. So what did Christ leave in its place? Show me in the scriptures where, since Christ did away with the New Year, because he did away with the law, show me the scriptures where Christ moved it to January 1st. Because all of you Christians, all of you, bar none, believe the New Year's is January 1st. With a Bible in your hand, you believe that. Read what you got.
Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
Because the Bible is written to the Israelites. Hear the word that the Lord speaks unto you. Even though the majority of our people don't listen, you ain't going to listen now. We have the Bible open. We show our people things in the Bible all the time. It's plain, it's evident. We break it down to the lowest level so they can understand it. And they still don't hear it. They don't want to hear it. That's really the problem. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
Learn not the way of the heathen. Who are the heathen? The other nations, the non-Israelite nations, starting with the so-called white man, because he's the one really controlling the earth. He's the one that moved the calendar from March and April to January being a new year. The Scottish did it in 1600s, and the British did it in the 1700s. And by the way, blacks and Hispanics ruled Scotland and England for 1,000 years during the Byzantine Empire. But when the so-called white man got back a foothold in those kingdoms, he turned everything upside down. That's what he did. And the Most High told us that we ain't supposed to learn those ways. You're supposed to come out of those ways, especially if you're calling yourself a follower of the Most High in Christ. Read.
And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
And you're not supposed to be dismayed at the signs of heaven. When you see the different solar eclipses and different things that are happening in the heavens, you're not supposed to be dismayed at that. For many years now, in the middle of the day, if you look up in the sky, especially if you're not in a place where there's a lot of buildings like New York City, if you look up in the sky, you can see the moon in broad daylight in the sky. That's a sign. But you're not supposed to be dismayed at those things. When you hear about eclipses and shooting stars and comets and different things that the so-called white man is saying that if a comet comes a certain amount of feet or distance closer to Earth, the whole Earth could be destroyed. You ain't supposed to be dismayed at those things. Because we know the words of the Most High are sure. The way that the Most High is going to bring this earth down is not going to be through no comet. It's not going to happen. You know how this world is going to be destroyed? It's going to be destroyed through the Son of the Most High, Yahushua, Jesus Christ. That's how it's going down. So you don't have to consult no psychic friends. You don't have to go and have no psychic read your palm or tell you your future. We're telling you your future through the scriptures. Yahweh Shai, Jesus Christ, who the world does not respect, who simple Negroes following the white man and saying don't exist, that is how this world is going to go down. That's how it's going to be destroyed. You heard it here first. Is that it on that?
No.
Go ahead.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
Because the other nations, they're dismayed at these things. They're dismayed when they see all these different things, when these eclipses and these comets. The so-called white man studies these things. That's what the planetarium is about. The so-called white man is looking up in the stars and looking up in the sky and seeing all types of things, and he's trying to figure it out. We don't have to look into a telescope to know what's going on. It's all here in the scriptures. We already know what's going to happen before it happens. Go ahead.
For the customs of the people are vain.
The customs of the people are vain. And in this particular case, we're speaking about New Year's. That's a vain, meaning a worthless, of no value custom. Why is January 1st of no value? Because it's not biblical. So if you're watching this video, you need to take these scriptures to your pastor and ask some questions. If your mother or your father is in church, you need to ask them some serious, tough questions.
Right.
See? You have to ask these things. Stop being a follower. And if they tell you that Jesus did away with that, then ask them, what did he replace it with? Don't accept Jesus did away with that. You need to see a scripture that tells you otherwise than the month of Abib, which is in spring. You need to see something else. If they can't show it to you, then they're lying. Okay? From there, give me the book of Amos chapter 5, verse 21. If you want to know what holidays to follow, read the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. They're all there for you. And I'm going to say this too. When you read about the holidays the Most High gave the Israelites, our days has meaning. Real meaning. Not BS meaning. We're going to do a show on that one day. Each holiday has a meaning, man. The Most High gave us holidays to represent the fall of our enemies. The Most High gave us holidays to represent the conditions that we were in when we were in the wilderness. The Most High gave us holidays that commemorate when the Most High gave us the land. So forth and so on, man. All of our days have meanings. The days the so-called white man has is meaningless, man. I mean, what is January 1st? What meaning does it have? I mean, think about it. What are you celebrating? You Negroes sometimes are going to clubs and everything, and you paying $100 to get in, because on New Year's they jack the price up. You got to pay $100 to get in some BS club, and on top of that, you might have to hit the bounce off with an extra 20 or 50, man, or whatever, just to get in, man. Then you're going to go into the club, and you're going to go to the bar, and to buy a little shot glass like that is going to be like $10. If you want to get nice, you're going to have to drop like maybe $100, man. You buy a bottle in the club, you might be spending $200, $300, $400. So by the time the night is over, you might have spent $400 or $500 for what?
For nothing.
For nothing. Because you're not following the scriptures. And the so-called white man that takes your money and smiles, and he goes back to his communities in Long Island and New Jersey and Staten Island, and you go back to the hood, man. You go back to the hood. See that? That makes no sense. Go ahead, read what you got.
Amos chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days.
The Lord said he hates and he despises our feast days. And these feast days the Most High hates and despises are the ones that we've set up. Well, not we, but the so-called white man that we follow. You follow Easter. Easter is the Passover in the scriptures. You follow Christmas. Christmas is not in the Bible. You can't show me where Jesus Christ was born on December 25th. That's not in the Bible. And there's so many hints in the Bible that say otherwise to show you that it was not even cold outside at all when Christ was born. So many hints. But you ignore all those things. What is Valentine's Day? But another day for the so-called white man to get rich. If you want to show your wife love, you can show it to her any day. Why do you have to do it on a day that he set aside? You want to buy her a box of chocolates, you can do that any day.
Right.
You want to buy her flowers or take her to a hotel or take her to a movie or take her out to dinner, you could do that any day. And if you have a good woman, a godly woman, let me say that, a woman after that believes in the Most High Scriptures, she ain't going to be upset if you treat her nice on another day and skip Valentine's Day because Valentine's Day is pagan. She ain't going to be upset. But if you have a monster, like a lot of these so-called black women are, if you have one of those, if you miss Valentine's Day, don't even come home. And if you do come home, don't come sleep in the bed, sleep on the couch. If you miss Christmas, you know, sleep on the couch. You know? That's what we have here in America, man. Madness. Madness. Every holiday is concocted around taking your money, man. The white man has set up holidays upon holidays, man. The white man set up Thanksgiving. That celebrates the slaughter of the Native Americans, right? And the day after, the white man has something called Black Friday. It wasn't bad enough he took all your money for Thanksgiving. You spent money on all that food. But right behind that now, he wants you to stand online outside of Best Buy and freeze your behind off all night to go inside and buy a TV and spend $800 when the TV is really only worth $300.
Sales in a stampede. Shoppers pushed and shoved their way through Black Friday today. The mad dash into a Walmart store knocked shoppers to the ground near Grand Rapids, Michigan at 5 in the morning. Despite several people falling to the ground, shoppers charged ahead, fixated on doorbuster deals. A 13-year-old girl helping a pregnant woman get up had to be taken away by ambulance. Another woman who was injured was taken to the hospital. Her husband blamed the store for a lack of security.
Alright, everybody, this is the way it's going to get down, okay? I need the first 34 divisions to sign up here. That's the other
Jack the price up to $1,000. You walk into Best Buy on Wednesday, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. You look at a flat screen TV, it says $1,000. You're like, I'm going to come back Black Friday. You know what I'm saying? You go back Black Friday, and the TV is now $800. I done paid $200. Come to find out that TV is really only worth $300. And by the time the spring or the summer come around, you're going to go in Best Buy, you're going to see it. You're going to get the Best Buy circular. You're going to walk in, you're going to pick up the circular, and the same TV that you paid $800 for on Black Friday is now only $300. It's on sale because the new one came out. See that? That's what the white man has set up for you in the society, and you so-called Negroes follow, and Hispanics, you follow behind that like damn zombies, man. And when I speak, I only mention the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans because we don't care about the damn white man or the Africans or anybody else. We care about our people. Read.
And I will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
And the Most High said he will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Okay? Now that was talking about in ancient times, but we could bring that up to date, man. The solemn assemblies that you so-called blacks and Hispanics have set up is Christmas and Easter. Those are the first two that come to mind, man. Because Christmas is supposed to be a Christian holiday. The Most High don't recognize that.
Right.
Because it's not biblical. Easter, the Most High don't recognize that. Easter comes from the goddess Ashtoreth. Okay? The goddess of fertility. That's why Easter symbolizes a daggone bunny, man. Because bunnies are supposed to be fertile. What does that have to do with the Bible? You ever read about Christ celebrating Easter in the Bible? Okay, well, Easter is supposed to celebrate the death and resurrection of Christ. Okay, fine. After Christ died, show me a scripture where the apostles celebrated Easter. Show me that. It's not in the Bible. The word Easter appears once in the Bible, and when you look it up in the Bible dictionary, it tells you that Easter, you can get it, that Easter is properly translated as the Passover, man. It's really the Passover. The reason why you have the word Easter in there, you have to know a little bit of history, which is going over the majority of you so-called blacks and Hispanics. It's going right over your head, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. When you read about Constantine, during the Council of Nicaea, amongst many of the other things that he did, he consolidated the pagan and the so-called Christian calendar and consolidated it. That's the reason why you have the holidays for the Hebrews and the holidays for the pagans. They basically coincide. Like Christmas always comes within the vicinity of Hanukkah. That's thanks to Constantine. Easter always comes sometime in the vicinity of when the Passover is. It either comes a couple of days or weeks before the Passover or a couple of days or weeks after. It's always sometime close. The same thing with Hanukkah and Christmas. Constantine consolidated the pagan and the Christian calendar. That's why those days come close together. But Easter is not a custom of the Most High. It's a custom, it's a pagan custom. Look it up. Zondervan's Bible Dictionary again. Tell them where you at.
Definition of Easter, parentheses, Passover.
What is it?
Passover.
Get a Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. Once again, if you don't know where to get one, Barnes and Nobles, they sell them. You can go to Barnes and Nobles and you can get this. This is a great study tool for understanding the Bible. There's a lot of good stuff in there, man. A lot of good stuff, man. Maybe one day, amongst all the other shows that I'll talk about doing, maybe one day I'm going to go through it. I'm going to show you all the good definitions in Zondervan. There's a lot of great stuff in there. There's some bones in there, meaning some BS in there too. But overall, it's a great source to correlate and help you understand the Bible better. All right? So once again, as I stated, the Passover is at the beginning of the year. The month that the Passover falls into, according to the scriptures, that's your new year. And it makes sense. It just makes sense on so many levels. So you so-called blacks and Hispanics, I hope, I pray that you understand what it is I brought out. This is just a brief topic that I'm doing. We're going to go more into it at the Passover, because the Passover is really our celebration of the new year. When we have the Passover service, we're going to do it more in depth. But for now, I just wanted to talk about it since the new year just passed. So with that, unless the brother McDonald,
I want to finish reading the definition of Easter, because even the definition of this Bible dictionary gives you the time frame where Easter, which is correctly Passover in the scriptures, is celebrated, right? So it goes on to say, rendered Easter in Acts 12:14, but correctly translated Passover.
That's why you have to know the Hebrew. That's why you have to know the Hebrew and the Greek. You have to go into these things. In order to study the Bible, you have to know that stuff, because it says correctly translated the Passover. It was not correctly translated into the English.
The day on which the church celebrates the resurrection of Jesus Christ, or Yahushua. Easter is celebrated on the first Sunday after the full moon, following the vernal equinox.
Vernal equinox.
Equinox. The date of Easter varying between March 22nd and April 25th.
Did you hear that? The date of Easter falls around March and April, just like the month of Abib that we read earlier. Do y'all see how everything lines up and correlates in the scriptures? Right. It's all there for you. You just have to be willing to, you have to have a willing mind and be willing to study and open your mind, man. And ask questions and research. That's what you have to be willing to do. But you're not going to do that if you're not part of the elect. Anyway, because when you read the book of Revelations, the 14th chapter, it tells you the only ones that's going to learn the song is the 144,000. And the song is the Bible. Nobody else is going to really be able to deal with this information anyway. They're just not going to be able to do it. Right. And I clearly see that. Because stuff that's so plain and evident as this, our people can't see it. It's like I'm speaking Chinese to you when we bring this out. And this is the easy stuff in the Bible. It ain't like we sat here and broke down Revelations, the 12th chapter, or Revelations 13 or 18. This is easy. And you can't see it. That means that it's not meant for you. All right? So with that, that's the end of the show. My name is Priest Daniela, and to my immediate right,
Priest McGunn.
All right, and we'll see you, brothers and sisters, on the next show. Shalom.
Shalom.